happened again. Heart start racing. Boom, 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 boom. This time it was bad. Today at work, I had this old guy come in, and it's not like we best friends or nothing. I know him through work, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, man, how everything going for you? How was New Year's and Christmas and everything for you?" He said, "Well, I got a lot of things going on, medical issues and stuff going on right now." He said, "Man, I spent all of New Year's Day in the hospital." I said, "Damn, man, that's messed up." He said, "Yeah. I woke up New Year's Eve, everything was good. I woke up on New Year's Day, the bed was covered with blood. So I spent all day in the delivery room, and I take insulin and stuff, so they had to watch me. He just ran it all down to me. And I was like, man, I really hope you get better, you know." He asked me, he said, "You believe in God, right?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I really appreciate it if you pray for me." I said, "You know what, man, I got you." So when we was done and everything, I gave him his stuff and he left. I said a little prayer for him. I asked God to just heal him up and make his life better. So many people will say, how can God exist if there's so much suffering in the world? You look at the dude that I was telling you about. You might look at somebody that that's going through a medical challenge or financial challenge, or just having it hard in life in general. You look at the people. All them houses were burned up in California. Before that, you had the hurricane, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, winter storms, mass deletions in the schoolhouse, and just all this kind of other stuff. How does God exist? Do God even care if he let this and allow this to happen? I feel like people, they misinterpret the role of God, and they misinterpret their own role in this existence on this earth, in this universe, this dimension, or whatever. I feel like they misinterpret all of it and they don't understand. I remember when I was a kid, I was like 14 years old, and it was lunchtime, and me and one of my partners, we was going down to hang out where we normally hang out, and my heart just started racing. And it's not like I was doing something strenuous. I didn't do nothing out of the normal what I normally do. My heart just started racing. Boom, 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 boom. So instead of going and hang out where we go, we went to the principal's office, the assistant principal. She put me in the car, took me over to the hospital. Just the tripped out part. By the time I get to the hospital, it stopped. I'm like, okay, I'm better. It's done. It stopped. She put her hand on my chest and everything. Before she took me, she put her hand on my chest. It was racing. And she asked me, like, you been running? I mean, would y'all playing or something? I was like, no. It just started when I was walking down the steps. So it went away. You fast forward maybe a couple months later, I was playing this time. I was playing basketball with one of my homeboys, and boom, it happened again. Heart start racing. Boom, 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 boom. This time it was bad, and he ended up calling the ambulance to pick me up, and I spent the night in the hospital. My parents, my mom. I remember my mom and my daddy at the hospital, and they were worried, man. And I mean, I was too. I didn't know what it was. So I ended up being diagnosed with tachycardia. At the time they called it tachycardia. Tachycardia is an irregular heartbeat. Okay. They gave me medicine to take for it. I had to take the medicine daily for tachycardia, for regular heartbeat. I remember talking to my grandmother, and she asked me how I was doing. with it and everything, asked me how I felt, I was like, man, I just feel like I wonder why this happened to me. You know, everybody else, all my peers, they get to live normal. And, you know, I take medicine kind of like I'm an older person or something. And she said, son, you know, you can't go around feeling sorry for yourself. You know, things happen. And I lived with that tachycardia, man, from 14 all the way up to damn near 40. And by the time I was 40, you know, they was able to diagnose it and find out, give an exact name to what it was. It was called supraventricular tachycardia. My doctor, we took the steps and everything and did a minor outpatient surgery in order to kind of fix my heart. And I mean, praise God, man, I overcame heart disease just like that. For the people that say, how can there be a God if there's so much suffering on this earth? You got to realize that we all have a role to play in this ecosystem, on this earth, in this universe, in this dimension, everything, whatever you call it, all of us have a role to play. It's unfortunate, it sucks, but we go through something to become something greater. For a second, just imagine any kind of blade. I don't know. Imagine a butterfly knife, a katana blade, a Damascus blade, a butcher knife. When it start out, it's just a big old hunk of steel. But they gotta put it in the forge and heat it up until it's damn near white hot. And once they take it out and it's white hot, it's still not a blade. It got plenty to go through. Once they take it out and it's white hot, they gotta take a big old 5 or 10 pound maul hammer and beat on that thing to form it into the shape of the blade that they trying to create. And they beat it and form it a little bit. Then they might stick it back in the forge, heat it up some more so they can keep on beating it until it becomes the form and the shape of the blade. But then guess what? They're not done. They got to stick it in a liquid to quench the blade. Then after they quench the blade, it's still more work to be done. Because you got the shape, but it's still not a blade. They got to sharpen it and polish it. And then you have the beautiful blade. Most of us go through this turmoil, these stressful situations, this trauma, in order to come out on the other side is something that's useful, whether we realize it or not. On one hand, you could say that, how could God love me and let me go through this? Or how could God love me and take this person away from me that I cared about so much? How could God love me and I lost this, or I'm just down and out now? Man, you in that forge being created and turned into something that God can use to benefit yourself, your community, the world, possibly even the whole universe, man. And we don't know. I always say God know what to do. That's what I always say. So I mean, to those people that feel like, or that discount the fact that there's a higher power than themselves because of all the suffering in the world, man, you got to realize that there's roles and parts to play. I mean, your role might be to live till 116. Some people don't make it 116 days. Some people don't make it to live for 116 minutes, man. But you can't let that stop you from saying, well, there ain't no God, because if God existed, he would come down and fix this and all this would be good, man. If everything was good then you would have a complete unbalanced world, a complete unbalanced universe. This earth wouldn't even exist if there was no push and pull between negative and positive things. So I think it's I don't think people look at the whole picture whenever they question the existence of God, or question the motive of God based on what happens in this existence in this world. Because we see everything that's happening. Like I said, you go down the line, natural disasters, earthquakes, all this different kind of whatever terrible thing that you might look at, war, terrorism, whatever kind of thing that you might look at and say, wow, man, how could God let this happen? You'll realize, man, all of this is a part of the role that we have to play. When I sit back and I think about how I basically lived with heart disease for 30-something years. Yeah, 30-something years. And to tell you the truth, man, I was scared to do the ablation surgery. It had been wanted to do. I was scared to do it. But when I finally did it, because what ended up happening, my wife had to rush me to the emergency room. One Sunday she had to rush me to the emergency room, man. And they said I could have went into a coma. Bottom line, I believe that God is real. I know they got a lot of terrible things that happen, but in my life, through whatever bad experience that I had, whatever trauma that I had, heartbreak, if ever I lost something and everything, I had to learn that just because you go through these things don't mean that God is not there, and God don't have his hand on you, playing a role in your life. And say you got to go through something to come out on the other side and be greater. A lot of people call it a lot of different things, man. So that's my little rant or whatever. This is my first time really just flowing. I usually do shorter videos, so I don't even know if I'm gonna upload this, man, but we'll see.